For the group film analysis presentation, the group members are Kavita Taylor, that's me, Shakita Bellamy, and Aaliyah Evans. We selected to do the movie entitled For Colored Girls. For colored girls who have considered suicide when the Rainbow is Enough was originally a collection of poems by an African American woman, Ntozake Shange, which was first published in 1975. In the poem, the women were given names but colors, such as the Lady in Orange. Tyler Perry made the poems into a movie entitled For Colored Girls in 2010. Although Perry made notable changes, for instance, he gave the women names. He was effective in maintaining the play's original plot and Shange's feminist message and overall themes. In this presentation, each group member will discuss a set of discussion questions and a theme from the movie.
Hi, you guys. My name is Shaquita, and my group and I chose Four Colored Girls. I chose Four Colored Girls mainly because of my best friend. When we were younger, she suffered both physical and sexual abuse, so which in return kind of affected her as she was growing up. As we got older, she became more promiscuous and kind of separated herself from other females and women. I was pretty much the only female friend that she had and actually stuck by her side. I believe that Four Colored Girls is a very good film, not just for African American women, but for women of all races, because it shows that no matter what you're going through, you should always strive to do good and overcome your obstacles and be great. Um, does the women in the film experience oppression? I believe so. I like Four Colored Girls because it shows the oppression that women have to go through in this male dominated society. The movie shows abandonment, rape, um, domestic violence. It kind of shows a various different obstacles. One scene that really hit home for me was the one with Yasmin and the gentleman that she had a crush on. She invited him over to her house for dinner, and he took advantage of her and raped her. And when she went to the hospital to report it, they pretty much told her that there was nothing they could do because he was invited into her home by her. And they pretty much showed her she was the reason why he raped her. But in the end, karma came and he tried to rape somebody else and they killed him. And she had to go about identify the body. I believe that this Four Colored Girls show why women find themselves obliged by their gender. Um, the film kind of connect the lives of the women, and it helps them to become closer in the end. They form a friendship. How are the women presented or characterized in the film? In my opinion, in the beginning of the film, the women like to fight with one another and really couldn't get along, but their struggles kind of brought them back together or brought them closer together. All of the women in the film, they are going through struggles of abandonment, domestic violence, rape, and somehow they have to find a way to move forward and do better. All of the women in the film, they struggle through their heartbreak and their trials and obstacles, and kind of at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, you see where they come together because of their trials and obstacles, and they somewhat form a friendship. Um, there are several themes throughout the film: shame, fear, abuse, friendship. I like Four Colored Girls because It kind of testifies the power of women, basically finding their support and self acceptance and strength. As a female, I can relate to the struggle of oppression because we live in a male dominated society. However, throughout all of that, I have been able to overcome most of them, and I still remain strong and determined to be on top and achieve my goals that I set out to it. And that's one reason why I chose Four Colored Girls because it really sends that message. If you all have not watched the film, I recommend you watch it. It's powerful and it sends a very great message. Four Color Girl has several different themes, but I chose female friendships because of the sisterhood bond that you can see form as the film develops and progresses. Basically, it's a film of 9 different women telling their life stories of rape and heartache and devastation. And throughout the film, the women kind of cross paths with each other and they're able to make a bond based off their obstacles that they're going through in life. By the end of the movie, you can tell that they build a strong friendship and that's something that will go with them in long ways. Four Color Girls really shows you the value and strength in female friendships. One scene through in the film is between Gilda and Tangi. Tangi is the promiscuous one who's trying to fill that void through other men and lashing out on her sister and her mother. And Gilda kind of tries to help Tangi, and Tangi feels as if Gilda is just being nosy in her business. When in reality, Gilda has actually gone down that road before, and she's trying to save Tangi from the same thing she went through. I have a video clip showing you the scene. If you would love to check it out, that would be great.
Find that root to pluck it. At 4:30 a.m. you rise, moving the arms and legs that trapped you. You side affirming the sculptured man and make yourself a bath of dark, musk-oil Egyptian crystals and Florida water to remove his smell, to wash away the glitter, to watch the butterflies melt into suds, and the rhinestones fall beneath your buttocks like smooth pebbles in a Missouri creek, laying in water. You become yourself, ordinary, brown-braided woman with big legs and full lips, regular. And those who fall prey to the dazzle of hips painted with orange blossoms and magnolia-scented wrists had wanted no more than to lay between her sparkling thighs and had planned on leaving before dawn. And when you finish writing your account of her exploit in a diary embroidered with lilies and moonstones, you place the rose behind your ear and cry yourself to sleep.
Damn you, isn't it all my business through this wall?
I used to be you.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaliyah, and as you may know, my group and we decided to do our film analysis on For Colored Girls, and this was actually my first time viewing this film, and I can say that I really enjoyed it, and it was very touching and just eye-opening, to see what different women all around the world, go through and the different challenges that they face. And if you haven't seen this movie, then I would definitely recommend that you go see it. One of our discussion questions were, how are men and other genders presented or characterized in the film, and do you think this representation is fair? The men in the film seem to only cause extreme pain and agony for the women, and they are presented and characterized as, being disrespectful and manipulative and just hostile towards the women. Throughout the film, I made a list of characteristics and personalities that I noticed, and that the men in the film possessed. And a few of those are abuser, cheater, liar, womanizer, rapist, and alcoholic. Now, I don't think that this representation of men is necessarily fair. While there's reality for some women when it comes to men, not all men are the same. And both the men and the women in the film are in very unfortunate situations or have been in the past. And I think that this plays a vital role in the way that they behave. For example, Boo Willie, he's a veteran, and he hasn't been able to receive any benefits from social services. And at the beginning of the film, he expresses his frustrations to the social worker before forcing her out of his home. And he hasn't been able to, receive any benefits from social services, yet they can come into his home out of concern for the safety of his 2 children. He's not happy with the situations that he's in, and he can't control his drinking, and he unfortunately takes out these frustrations on Crystal and their children. And he beats Crystal, and he eventually ends up murdering their 2 children. Another discussion question was, does the film portray stereotypes, both negative or positive, and does the film challenge these stereotypes or perpetuate them? The film displays both negative and positive stereotypes, and I made a short list of the negative and the positive. The negative, would be men are disrespectful and degrading and abusive towards women, and they cheat on their significant others, and women are just weak and defenseless and gullible. The positive stereotypes would be, women are strong and have the power to overcome any hardship and obstacle that is hindering happiness, progression, and success in their lives. I feel as though the film challenges and perpetuates the stereotypes because while there are a number of negative stereotypes, the film sends out an extremely important message, and it's based specifically on the lives of women of color. However, I do think it's important to realize that these sort of things happen to all women, no matter what race or what ethnicity or background, age, or religion. Another discussion question was, are there examples of gender-based violence present in the film, and how is the oppression of women linked to these individual acts of violence? There are examples of gender-based violence throughout the entire film, and 2 examples would be domestic violence as well as sexual assault. And as I mentioned earlier, Boo Willie beat his wife as well as his children, and this is an obvious example of domestic violence. And there are 2 scenes that include sexual assault. The first one is when Yasmin invited Bill into her home for dinner, and Bill ends up raping Yasmin, leaving her on the floor, and also leaving her traumatized throughout the remainder of the movie. And she later learns that Bill actually raped another woman, and the woman actually ended up killing him, and she was able to identify him at the hospital as the man who raped her as well. Another example of sexual assault was when Alice, Tangi, and Nyla's mother explains how she was raped by her father, who also happened to rape Tangi as well. The oppression of women is linked to these individual acts of violence because these men are using physical force to control and dominate these women. Boo Willie had been abusing Crystal for years, yet she never left simply because she was just too afraid. And this alone shows the control that he had over her and over her life. And when a woman is raped, she's basically denied the decision of whether or not she wants to partake in these sexual activities. And this decision is basically already made for her. So this is one way that oppression is linked to these acts. One theme is self-actualization, and at the beginning of the movie, the women don't really have a sense of self. They don't understand themselves, and they struggle to accept their place in the world out of, fear and heartache and abuse. and their actions and their mistakes are centered around, finding this love and this acceptance. And at the arc of the movie, they transition from being, ignorant and gullible and confused to, possessing self-awareness and self-actualization, and they learn to celebrate their physical appearance and their female friendships and bonds and their scars and their successes and their connection to something that's more powerful and divine than themselves. And by the end of the movie, they become fully fledged human beings, unique and powerful and glorious, and even in despite of their flaws. And one example of self-actualization in the film is with Juanita, and she struggles with her relationship with her boyfriend Frank. And Frank will leave her from time to time for other women, and when he's ready to come back, he just seduces Juanita, and everything kind of goes back to normal. And she's just constantly on edge and afraid that he may leave her at any time, which he might. And one day, she comes home and she thinks that he's left. So she's like going through his things. And then he walks through the door. He calms her down. And then everything just goes back to normal and everything's okay. And then his birthday comes around and she comes home with a cake. And once again, Frank has left her for another woman. So Anita, she recites this monologue, and the monologue is someone almost walked off with all of my stuff. And this monologue is about how a woman can love a man so deeply that she loses her sense of self and her self-identity. And when he leaves her void because he's walked off with all her stuff. And this stuff is not necessarily material things. It's her identity, her sense of self, her love for herself, her womanness, her womanhood. But at the end of the poem, Juanita, she conveys how she would begin her journal of reestablishment and empowerment in order to get her stuff back.
No! Somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff. And didn't care enough to send a note home saying I was late for my solo conversation or 2 sizes too small for my own tacky skirts. What can anybody do with something of no value on an open market? Did you get a dime for my things? Hey, man, where you going with all of my stuff? This is a woman's trip, and I need my stuff to ooh and ah about. Honest to God, somebody almost ran off with all of my stuff, and I didn't bring anything but the kick and sway of it. The perfect ass for my man, and none of it is theirs. This is mine, Juanita's own things. That's my name. Now give me my stuff. I see you hiding my laugh, and how I sit with my legs open sometimes to give my crotch some sunlight. This is some delicate leg and whimsical kiss I gotta have to give to my choice. So you can't have me unless I give me away. And I was doing all that till you ran off on a good thing. And who is this you left me with? Some simple bitch with a bad attitude. I want my things. I want my arm with the hot iron scar. I want my leg with the flea bite. Yeah, I want my things. I want my callous feet and quick language back in my mouth. I want my own things, how I loved them. Somebody almost ran off with all of my stuff, and I was standing there looking at my stuff the whole time. It wasn't a spirit that ran off with my stuff. It was a man whose ego walked around like Rodin's shadow. It was a man faster than my innocence. It was a lover I made too much room for. I almost ran off with all my stuff, and the one running with it don't know he got it. I'm shouting, this is mine, and he don't even know he got it. My stuff is the anonymous ripped-off treasure of the year. Did you know somebody almost got away with me? Me, in a plastic bag under his arm. Me, Juanita Sims. Somebody almost walked off with all my stuff.
I am answering discussion questions 7 and 8. Question 7 asks, are there examples of inequality in the workforce, military, or organized sports? In the movie, there are several instances of inequality. For one of the characters, Tangi, is longing for love because her mother did not show her love. As a result, she uses sex as a way to fill that void. She has one night stands with many men. In a patriarchal society, her actions are seen as promiscuous, and she is criticized for her behaviors by men and women. She is referred to as a slut, a whore, by some of her sexual partners, her neighbors, and her mother. Tangi's situation represents gender inequality because men who have many sexual partners are lauded, whereas women are disparaged. The character Joanna, Jo represents another example of inequality in the movie. Jo is married, successful magazine editor, and a breadwinner for her home. In a patriarchal society, men are expected to be the breadwinner of their family. Jo experiences anger, resentment, emotional abuse from her husband as a result of the switched gender roles in their family. A third example of inequality exhibited in the movie is with the character Boo Willie Brown. Brown is unable to collect his veterans pay, to get help for his post-traumatic stress disorder, and to find work. In the movie, it is inferred that Brown's misfortunes are a result of institutionalized racism and discrimination. Question 8 asks, what is the overall takeaway message of the film? The movie displayed the interconnected lives of 9 women exploring their lives and struggles as women of color. The bond between the ladies shows the importance of female friendship and how these friendships can provide solace, stability in challenging times. The ladies confront their feelings about race, sex, their individualism, their beauty, and their self-doubt. In the movie, the women share anecdotes about their lives and their relationships with men. The relationships of these 9 women are complicated, negative, and calamitous. However, they learn from their experiences and their struggles. Ultimately, the separate stories and anecdotes coverage into the overall theme of identity, self-actualization, and hope, which encourages colored girls who have considered suicide to be brave to the quest for independence and embrace their self-worth. One of the themes in the movie is the desire to be loved. The women in For Colored Girls are seeking love. All 9 women make the mistake of compromising themselves in the pursuit of love and meet with disappointment when the men they choose or chose them cannot be what they want. The women's sorrows are immediately relatable to most women who have experienced a painful relationship. The movie does an effective job capturing the raw pain of unrequited love, lost love, and broken love. One example of this theme is with the character Joanna, Joe Bradmore, Lady in the Red. Joe is married to a down low man. He is secretly engaged in homosexual activities. He subsequently contracts AIDS and gives it to Joe. Joe tells her husband that she's seen how he watches men and she knew that about his affairs with other men. Although Joe knew that her husband was gay and engaging in an affair with men, she loved and wanted her marriage to be successful. When Joe confronts her husband and he affirms her suspicions and tells her he is sorry, she gives a monologue on his sorry does her no good, but he broke her heart and gave her HIV. You can view this on the next clip.
Save your sorry. One thing I don't need are any more apologies. I got sorry greeting me at the front door. You can keep yours. I don't know what to do with them. I gotta throw some away. I can't even get to the clothes in my closet for all the sorries. You know what, I'm gonna put a sign on the door. Better yet, I'm gonna leave a voicemail.
a message on my voicemail. If you call to say you're sorry, then call somebody else, because I don't use them anymore. I let I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And how could I know about that? Take a walk down a dark and musty street in Brooklyn, Carl. Well, I'm gonna do exactly what I want. And I'm not gonna be sorry for none of it. Let sorry soothe your soul. I'll soothe mine. You know, you were always being inconsistent. Doing things and then saying you're sorry about it. Beating my heart to death talking about you're sorry. Well, I'm not gonna call you. I'm not gonna be nice. I'm gonna raise my voice. I'm gonna yell. I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna break things. I'm gonna race the engine and tell all your secrets about you to your face, and I'm not gonna be sorry for none of it. I loved you on purpose. I was open on purpose. I'm not even sorry about you being sorry. You can take all your guilt and all your grime and do whatever you want with it. Just don't give it to me. I can't use another sorry.
So as far as the overall message and meaning of the film, it displayed the interconnected lives of 9 women, exploring their lives and their struggles as Black women in America. And they share anecdotes about their lives and their relationships with men, and they confront their feelings about love and about sex, their individualism, their beauty, and their self-doubt. The relationships of these 9 women are complicated and they're negative. However, they are able to learn from their experience and their struggles and just grow from them. And ultimately, the separate stories and anecdotes converge into the overall themes of love and self-actualization and female relationships and bonds, which evolves into hope that encourages colored girls who have considered suicide to be brave in their quest for love and self-actualization and embrace their self-worth.